In today's video, we're going to give every team in the NBA the perfect trade target to complete their offseason. But before we get into anything, please be sure to hit the like button and subscribe. I'm a small channel just trying to grow. Thank you very much. We're going to start with the Boston Celtics, and for them, I have selected Nikola Vucevic. Vooch last season had one of his best career years actually, but it really went under the radar because the Bulls have been shopping him for so long. Now he's on an expiring contract worth about $20 million, and I would expect him to be traded or even released by the Bulls. So for the Celtics, who have Anemias Keita and Luka Garza center rotation, I think Vooch is a seamless fit for the Boston Celtics. For one, if the Celtics are truly committed to the rebuilding bit, Vucevic is an expiring contract, so you don't have to pay him after next season, and you can go in a different direction if things don't really work out during that season. He's also probably one of the better bang for your buck players on the trade market right now. He can give you 20 and 10 any given night, and you can probably get him right now for a second round pick. The Bulls have been desperately trying to get off his money, and for the Celtics, who have probably the worst center room in the league, I think Nikola Vucevic is a perfect cheap option for them. For the Brooklyn Nets, I have Ousmane Dieng. Ousmane was selected 11th overall in the 2022 draft by the Oklahoma City Thunder, where he still remains on the team that just won the championship with 1 year, $6 million remaining left on his contract. I'm not going to say he wasn't given an opportunity, but it was just so obviously clear that the other young guys were better than him, like Cason Wallace, Lou Dort, J-Dub, Aaron Wiggins, Isaiah Joe. That team just has so much depth on the wing that Ousmane just really never caught on with the team. But this is why I think he's a perfect fit for Brooklyn. Brooklyn is obviously looking to get the #1 overall pick in next year's draft, and they also just drafted, what, 3 guards in the first round, I believe. So I think they're good on the guard position, along with them, you know, still being in contract negotiations with Cam Thomas and Nick Claxton still being on the roster. I thought they could use maybe another wing, and Ousmane Dieng, he's 6'9", has ball handling capabilities, and he's still very young with loads of potential. So Brooklyn net him. For the New York Knicks, I have Jacoby Walter. I went for a younger direction on this pick for the Knicks because they kind of have given all their cap room to their top 4 guys. Now that Mikal Bridges just earned a massive new contract. And for the Raptors, who have a loaded rotation with so many young guys that they cannot possibly play them all in one night, they could look to offload one of them, and I think Jacoby Walter would be a perfect fit for the Knicks. If they could bring him in to play the role that they had Landry Shamet in last season, I think he'd go crazy. So I think Jacoby Walter would be perfect for the Knicks. For the Philadelphia 76ers, I have Jalen Smith. Joel Embiid's injury history and dilemma is very much documented. I don't need to go over it. So that being said, the 76ers could definitely use some big man depth. Andre Drummond was not particularly great for them last year, and Adem Bona might not be ready just yet. So I think they could go out and get Jalen Smith, who's currently on a 2-year deal with the Chicago Bulls worth around $9 million per year. He got that contract after playing extremely well for the Indiana Pacers, where he averaged 10 points a night, shooting 42% from 3. He could also play the power forward spot, and he'd be a nice twin tower next to Embiid defensively. Jalen Smith, if you remember, was drafted 10th overall by the Phoenix Suns and then was traded to the Pacers and then walked from the Pacers. He's just had a very tumultuous career so far, and he's definitely shown promise in his first 4 years. Scratch that, 6 years. I keep forgetting 2020 was that long ago. Jesus Christ. For the Toronto Raptors, I have Jose Alvarado. I'm hoping for a big bounce back season from Emmanuel Quickley, where he only played about 30 games last season. Jamal Shed, a rookie last year, filled in for him, and he actually played pretty decent, but I think they could use maybe another guard as an insurance if Emmanuel Quickley still deals with injuries this year. So Jose Alvarado from the Pelicans, only making about $4 million per season, and the Pelicans also just traded for Jordan Poole and drafted Jeremiah Fears. Their guard room is loaded. I think Jose Alvarado would be a great cheap option for the Raptors. For the Chicago Bulls, I have Isaiah Stewart. The Bulls currently employ Zach Collins and Nikola Vucevic on expiring contracts. They did just draft Asa Newell, so they have some insurance after this season at the center spot. But if they could use any younger talent at any position, it would be at the center spot. Isaiah Stewart is known for fighting, but he's genuinely a great defender in the post, and I would really like to see him in a starting role and maybe even bring back the 3-point shot that he previously had. Jalen Duren is definitely the prize at center, so I think Isaiah Stewart is probably more expendable. I think it'd be great to see him in Chicago. I think that'd be an awesome fit, and I think Bulls fans would definitely like to have a revamped center rotation. For the Cleveland Cavaliers, I have Grant Williams. After the Cavs traded for Lonzo Ball and signed Larry Nance Jr., they're pretty much insured for every single spot. Their bench actually looks pretty solid, but they could maybe use another wing. So I think Grant Williams would fit in nice for them. He's a solid defender. He doesn't demand the ball. We've seen him shoot 41% from 3 before. A genuinely underrated player in my opinion. It sucks that he dealt with that injury last season after only 16 games, but I think he'd be great in Cleveland. For the Detroit Pistons, I have Trey Murphy III. Trey Murphy is the perfect modern day NBA wing. He's 6'5", 6'8", switchable defensively, and has a clip. He shot 40% from 3 in his second season. He has dealt with more and more injuries over the last 2 years, but at this point, can we even blame the players, or is it the Pelicans' fault? And for the Pistons, he'd be an absolutely perfect fit alongside Cade and Asar Thompson, but that's like a dream fit. I don't know if the Pelicans would even consider trading Trey Murphy, but they just extended Herb Jones. And do they plan on keeping Zion? I don't know what the direction is for that team, but for the Pistons, Trey Murphy would be great. For the Indiana Pacers, I have Walker Kessler. It's still crazy to think that Miles Turner just left this team after he's been in trade, discussions for the last 10 years. Finally leaves them after they just went to the NBA Finals. It's just so crazy. But yeah, the Pacers center room is currently Jay Huff and James Wiseman. They also brought Isaiah Jackson back, who was pretty solid, just unfortunately did not get to play last year because of an ACL, I believe. But assuming the Pacers are looking for their center of the future after Miles Turner's departure, I think Walker Kessler would be an absurdly great fit. He's only 24 years old, one of the more efficient players in the league, and one of the better rebounders in the league. His defense is already set, but if you could develop his offensive game, his game in the post, I think you'd be looking at a diamond for the Pacers. This is also the last year of his rookie contract, and we don't know if the Jazz are going to extend him or not. So if they're looking at trades for him, I think the Pacers should be all over that. For the Milwaukee Bucks, I have Colin Sexton. Colin Sexton was recently just traded to the Charlotte Hornets, but they also just brought Trey Mann back, and they also obviously have LaMelo Ball. And Colin Sexton is on an expiring contract. I don't know if the Charlotte Hornets will be looking to bring him back or not. But for the Milwaukee Bucks, who have a shaky guard room at best, looking at Ryan Rollins, Kevin Porter Jr., Cole Anthony, these are just not starting point guards for like championship teams. And that's not to say that Colin Sexton necessarily is either, but he's definitely an upgrade over these guys. He's also a better defender than all of those guys, and I wouldn't expect him to go for much in a trade considering he just got traded for Yusuf Nurkic. His three ball is also extremely underrated. He shot almost 41% last year. I think he'd be a perfect fit for the Milwaukee Bucks, and he's expiring, so if Giannis demands out after next year, then you're still not stuck paying Colin Sexton. For the Atlanta Hawks, I have Jaden Hardy. Really the only thing the Hawks need right now for me to like have them in that upper echelon of teams in the Eastern Conference is a backup point guard. I think Jaden Hardy would be a nice spark plug off the bench for them in those backup point guard minutes. He's on an extremely cheap contract, only like $6 million per year, and he almost shot 39% from 3 last year. He'd be a really nice microwave scorer for the Hawks, and they also have all the defensive personnel in the world to surround him, so it's not that big of a deal that he's an absolute cone on defense. I mean, they got Dyson Daniels, Jalen Johnson, Zachary Risache. He'd be just fine. But yeah, I think that'd be perfect for the Hawks. And for the Mavericks, they just signed D'Angelo Russell, and they'll also have Kyrie Irving coming back. So yeah, Jaden Hardy might be expendable for them, but I think he'd be a great fit in Atlanta. For the Charlotte Hornets, this is going to be the first repeat offender in the video. I have Nikola Vucevic. For as long as I've been watching Hornets basketball, the center rotation has just been an absolute mess. I think Nikola Vucevic could be a real veteran for that team. He's always stayed relatively healthy, and that's something the Charlotte Hornets have definitely struggled with. And I think they're a team that could be looking to make a playoff push considering the East got a little bit weaker with the injuries to Tyrese Halliburton and Jason Tatum. I mean, why not? Vucevic is an expiring contract, would be the best offensive center for the Hornets since... oh god, I don't even want to go back that far. Yeah, perfect fit. Why not? They also got the contracts to make it work. Let's make it happen, Charlotte. For the Miami Heat, I have DeMar DeRozan. This is a trade that's been speculated for what feels like the last 10 years. His contract matches Terry Rozier's almost to the dollar, and I'm sure the Kings aren't against trading DeMar DeRozan. I think they're probably shopping him if anything. So for the Heat, he could be a buy low offensive option for them. He doesn't exactly help you out with the three-point shooting, which the Heat could use, but they just traded for a sniper in Norman Powell, who's definitely going to help them in that department. DeRozan would be a nice third offensive option for the Heat, and they have the assets to make it work, so I think that'd be great. For the Orlando Magic, I have Noah Clowney. Noah Clowney was drafted by the Brooklyn Nets in 2023. He's a stretch big who shot 36% from 3 in his rookie season. Last year, unfortunately, he only played 46 games, and the shooting splits were just not there. Had a really bad season. But for the Magic, who could definitely use center depth, I think Noah Clowney would be a great cheap option for them. He's only making like $4 million this season. I don't think Wendell Carter Jr. is the long-term solution there, and Mo Wagner is also coming off a season-ending injury last year. So Noah Clowney would be a young and relatively cheap option for them. I think that'd be perfect. For the Washington Wizards, I have Taylor Hendricks. Taylor Hendricks' season was unfortunately cut short last year due to, I think, a broken leg? Yeah, he fractured his right fibula and dislocated his ankle. I mean, good God. Tragic stuff, and he really does have potential. He showed legit promise in his rookie year with the Jazz, but in 2 years so far, he's only played 43 games. If the Jazz look to move on, I think the Wizards would be a perfect option for them. They could use another power forward. forward, and he's got all the physical tools to be a legit NBA defender. He could be a sneaky buy low option with real potential. For the Denver Nuggets, I have Peyton Pritchard. With the Jason Tatum injury and the trading of Kristaps Porzingis and Drew Holiday, the Celtics are definitely going into a rebuild or retool phase, and if Peyton Pritchard is on the table, I think the Denver Nuggets would be perfect for him. The Nuggets have struggled with bench scoring for a while now, and Peyton Pritchard, who is one of the better bench players in the league, would obviously be a seamless fit, and they could definitely use a backup point guard. Peyton's definitely a better option than Bruce Brown, and they also have the Zeke Naji contract to match the Peyton Pritchard contract, so that would be an absolute home run for the Nuggets if they could pull that off. For the Minnesota Timberwolves, I have DeJounte Murray. With Mike Conley about to enter his 40s and Rob Dillingham being very much a question mark for this team, their only real weakness is the point guard spot and just facilitation in general. DeJounte Murray would be a more than solid option for the Minnesota Timberwolves. Unfortunately, last season he went down with a season-ending injury, only like 30 games into the year. We didn't get to see the full picture, but he didn't play well in his first 30 games in New Orleans. But in the previous season, he averaged 22 points per game on 46% from the field and 36% from three. Really solid numbers, and he's guaranteed to get you at least 1.5, 2 steals per night. And for the Pelicans, like I've already previously said, they just have an insanely stacked guard room. And DeJounte Murray only has 2 years left on his contract. I think he could be traded, and if he is, the Minnesota Timberwolves will be a great spot for him. For the Oklahoma City Thunder, I have Chris Murray. Chris Murray was drafted in the late first round by the Portland Trail Blazers, just hasn't really got off to a great start in his career so far. He is the brother of Keegan Murray, so he's expected to just play solid defense and hit the three efficiently. He hasn't necessarily really done that. And for the Thunder, who obviously just won the championship, they don't need improvements in any spaces, so Chris Murray could be a solid reclamation project for them and could turn into a real NBA player one day. So yeah, why not? I'm not going to suggest the Thunder trade for LeBron James. I mean, they just won the championship, so I would suggest keep it low key, get you a guy like Chris Murray and just build him from the ground up. For the Portland Trail Blazers, I have Kelly Oubre Jr. This is a team that is stacked with guards and needs help on the perimeter with shooting. Kelly Oubre slides in there perfectly. Pause. But it's Kelly Oubre, so is it really pause? I don't know. Kelly's on an expiring contract worth only about $8 million, and for the Trailblazers, who just traded for Drew Holiday, signed Damian Lillard, I expect them to try and push for the playoffs. They have a really solid team in the Western Conference, and I think Kelly Oubre would be a perfect addition for them. Just some perimeter depth, and I think they could easily be a play-in team this year. For the Utah Jazz, I have Austin Reeves. Now, this is probably the most shocking one of the video. Pretty much, if you're the Jazz, I mean, you have a ton of first-round picks. You have all the cap space in the world. Well, Austin Reeves is a guy last year who averaged 20 points per game and shot 46% from the field and 38% from three. And he's going to be looking for a big extension from the Lakers, but they have Luka Doncic and LeBron James, who, albeit LeBron James probably won't be on the team 2 years from now, but Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves, is that really your future at the backcourt? And if the Lakers decide to go in a different direction, whether that's because Austin Reeves isn't the best fit next to Luka, or whether or not they're willing to pay Austin Reeves a max contract, I think the Jazz would be one of the better landing spots for Austin Reeves. They're just a team devoid of talent in general, and they could use a dynamic scorer and playmaker like Austin Reeves to just get the offense set up and flowing. Jazz games have been an extremely hard watch over the last 3 years, and I think Austin Reeves would bring some genuine excitement back to that fan base and team. Walker Kessler's already one of the best young centers in the NBA. You just drafted Ace Bailey. If you could add in a dynamic guard like Austin Reeves, I think that would change everything for Utah. But that is like a dream scenario. I don't expect the Lakers to trade Austin Reeves, but I don't think it's completely out of the realm of possibility either. For the Golden State Warriors, I have Kobe White. This is a team that quite literally has not made a single trade or a single signing since the start of free agency. The only thing that's happened to them is they lost Kevon Looney to the Pelicans. The Warriors roster at face value is just not great. The depth is not there. The shooting is not there outside of Buddy Hield and Steph Curry. You still have one of the better defenders in the league in Draymond Green with Jimmy Butler as well. I think they deserve a better option as shooting guard over Brandon Pajemski, and Kobe White would be a seamless fit for this team. The Warriors are in desperate need of ball handling in the non-Curry minutes, or let's just say hypothetically Curry is out for 2 to 3 weeks in the middle of the season. Then you'd be looking at starting Taron Armstrong at point. So I think they could go out and get another guard. Kobe White would be a dream fit. Last season he cracked 20 points per game for the first time in his career on relatively solid efficiency and 4.5 assists per night. He's not much of a defender, but I don't think the Warriors necessarily need that right now. now. I think they need more offensive creation. Anyone that can make their own play and doesn't need to be set up by Steph or Draymond. That is Kobe White. The Bulls are in an interesting spot. They're like halfway into a rebuild, halfway not. So if the Bulls aren't keen on extending Kobe White and he goes up for trade, the Warriors should be spamming their phone. For the Los Angeles Clippers, I have Saddiq Bey. The Clippers are genuinely one of the deepest teams in the NBA. They just signed their backup point guard in Chris Paul. They brought in Bradley Beal to replace Norman Powell. They brought in a true power forward in John Collins and a true backup center in Brook Lopez. The roster really doesn't need all too much, so I think they should go out and get a guy like Saddiq Bey, who is currently on the Pelicans after just being traded by the Washington Wizards. He was injured for all of last season. We haven't seen him play since 2024. Saddiq would be one of the youngest players on the Clippers roster, and he'd also be a really good fit for this team who needs some youth and some scoring. Saddiq has just been very inconsistent since he's been drafted. He showed real potential for the Pistons where he shot 38% from 3 in his rookie year, but since then he's been traded twice and there's no real guarantee that he even plays any minutes for the Pelicans, so I think he'd be a great gift for the Clippers. For the Los Angeles Lakers, I have Robert Williams III. The Lakers' struggle at the center position is no secret. Last season in the playoffs, they were trotting out Maxi Kleber and Jackson Hayes. It was just embarrassing, but they made a significant upgrade in free agency where they signed DeAndre Ayton to a 2-year deal, but I think they could go out and get another rim protector. DeAndre Ayton is a solid offensive option and a good rebounder, but his defensive presence isn't always there, so Robert Williams would be the perfect backup option for him. Robert Williams is currently on an expiring $11 million salary with the Portland Trailblazers. The Trailblazers also just drafted Hansen Yang. They drafted Donovan Clingan the year before, and they also have Duop Reith on the roster. So if the Blazers are looking to shed a center before the start of the season, the Lakers would be the perfect fit for Robert Williams. They have the contracts of Maxi Kleber and Gabe Vincent that match Robert Williams' money to the dollar. They could get this trade done tomorrow if they wanted to, and I think it'd be a great fit. Great defender for his size. Another lob target for Luka. I don't think anybody would disagree with this pick. I think Robert Williams should be a Laker. For the Phoenix Suns, I have Jonathan Kuminga. Jonathan Kuminga is still a free agent after whatever is going on with the Warriors. He does not want to return, and they also don't want to give him the money to return. They're working out sign and trade scenarios. I don't know how long that's going to drag on for, but I do know that the Phoenix Suns have been involved, and I think that'd be a solid fit. The Suns are in need of some forward depth. Right now, they're starting Dylan Brooks at power forward, not great, and Jonathan Kuminga is still a younger talent who hasn't really shown his full capabilities on the court yet. He'd get that chance on a Phoenix Suns team who have a lot to prove this upcoming season, and if you're the Suns, you kind of need a miracle to get back into championship contention with Devin Booker anytime soon. Let's say you sign Jonathan Kuminga and then he just breaks out into an all-star level guy. There you go. There's your miracle. They have the assets to make it work, and I can't see a world where Jonathan Kuminga goes back to Golden State, so I think the Phoenix Suns should get this done. For the Sacramento Kings, I have Mitchell Robinson. Right now, the Kings are also looking at Jonathan Kuminga and Russell Westbrook. I have no idea what the direction is for this team, but they want players that can ideally help them win games now, and Mitchell Robinson is definitely one of those guys. An incredible shot blocker, a good lob target. They're also lacking a true backup big. I don't think Dario Saric is the answer there, and Maxime Raymond definitely needs some time. So if the Kings genuinely want to push for a playoff spot, they could use some rim protection, and who's an expiring contract and one of the better rim protectors in the league? Mitchell Robinson. For the Dallas Mavericks, I have Jet Howard. Jet Howard was drafted in the lottery by the Orlando Magic 2 seasons ago. He's gotten his feet wet in the NBA, but he hasn't really got true opportunity yet. That's not to say he would in Dallas, but they have the forward spot set. PJ Washington, Cooper Flagg, Najee Marshall, Anthony Davis. They've got their point guards in D'Lo, Brandon Williams, Jaden Hardy, Kyrie Irving. They've already got 3 centers on the roster. What could they use? Maybe some more shooting behind Klay Thompson and Max Christie. I think they could take a chance on Jet Howard, who probably will be traded soon. I don't see him signing an extension with the Magic, so he'd be a cheap and young option for the Mavericks to develop into a real NBA player. For the Houston Rockets, I have Klay Thompson. The Houston Rockets have obviously been one of the biggest stories of the offseason after they traded for Kevin Durant and signed Dorian Finney-Smith. This team is loaded, and their only weakness is consistent shooting. Jabari Smith Jr. hasn't been consistent shooting the ball. Neither has Amen Thompson, obviously. Neither has Tari Eason. They could use a real sniper on the wing, and Klay Thompson would be the perfect guy for that role. And obviously the KD Klay reunion would be pretty cool. And you also have the contracts to make the trade work. So I think the Rockets, if they are going to make any more upgrades or any more changes to the roster, they could add some more shooting. And needless to be said, Klay Thompson, probably a top 3 shooter of all time, would be a seamless fit. For the Memphis Grizzlies, I have Domantas Sabonis. The Grizzlies made one of the biggest moves of this offseason, trading Desmond Bain with the Orlando Magic for KCP and picks. They They also signed Ty Jerome and drafted Cedric Coward. They're in this weird tweener position where they're still a very young team, but they should be competitive given they have a ton of talent on this roster. I would say center is their biggest weakness. Zach Edey has been promising throughout his first 2 years, but if they wanted a more consistent option offensively, I think Sabonis would be amazing. Sabonis is one of the best rebounders in the league. He'd be a perfect fit next to Jaren Jackson Jr. because he can't rebound for shit. And although Sabonis isn't the best defender in the world, Jaren Jackson Jr., one of the best shot blockers in the league, a defensive player of the year candidate, would be right next to him. So a real upgraded center like Domantas Sabonis, I think the Grizzlies would be right back in the playoffs. For the New Orleans Pelicans, I have Obi Toppin. The Pelicans have been extremely active throughout this offseason so far. They've signed Kevon Looney, traded for Jordan Poole, drafted Jeremiah Fears, traded up in the draft to get Derek Queen. They've been one of the more active teams, and they also traded their first round pick next season in that trade for Derek Queen. So I would assume they're looking to be competitive or at least push for a play-in spot. I don't need to tell you that Zion Williamson might miss some games next season. That's kind of just a given. So who's a similar archetype to Zion Williamson, just a little bit cheaper? Obi Toppin. He'd be the perfect backup to Zion. Another athletic forward who can knock down the three ball, catch some lobs, and make some real highlight plays. With the Pacers probably looking to give Jarris Walker more minutes next season, and obviously their star forward in Pascal Siakam staying on the team for the next few years, I think Obi Toppin could be traded, and New Orleans, if they're looking to compete, would be a perfect spot for him. And for the final team in the video, the San Antonio Spurs, I have Giannis Antetokounmpo. For now, Giannis is staying a Milwaukee Buck. He showed real loyalty to that team, and I 100% admire that. I would like to see the Bucks be successful this season. But if worse comes to worse and Giannis wants out, what better fit for Giannis Antetokounmpo than the San Antonio Spurs, who have a load of young talent and draft picks to make a Giannis trade work, and one of the best young players in the NBA in Victor Wembanyama to pair alongside of him. A Giannis Wemby duo would probably be the best defensive duo in NBA history. I don't think that's an oversell at all. They'd also be great offensively together. They can both space the floor. Giannis has gotten extremely lethal at the mid-range. Yeah, a team of De'Aaron Fox, Devin Vassell, Stephon Castle, Victor Wembanyama, Giannis Antetokounmpo. That might be a team in the Western Conference that I would put over the OKC Thunder. A Giannis Wemby duo would break the NBA, and I'm all here for that. I would love to see that happen. But anyways, thank you guys so much for making it to the end of this video. If you guys did enjoy, please be sure to hit the like button and subscribe. Like I said in the intro, I'm a small channel just trying to grow. It would mean the world to me, but thank you guys for watching. I hope to catch you guys in a future video. I'm out. Deuces.